Hello and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent Makori with a new look from the Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks. I'm Vincent Makori at the Voice of America. It's great to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Well, due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, our broadcast looks a little different for now, but we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Channels Television in Lagos brings you that story.
Nigeria appears set for a gas revolution with the launch of the Decade of Gas in Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari. At the virtual launch of the conference from the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja, the president expressed optimism of Nigeria's capacity to utilize gas resources to boost the economy and drive industrialization.
It's the Decade of Gas Conference, a meeting of bigwigs in Nigeria's oil and gas industry. They are here to deliberate on how to improve the country's energy sector. Chairman of the occasion, President Muhammadu Buhari, explains the importance of the meeting.
Our major objective for gas sector is to transform Nigeria into an industrialized nation with gas playing a major role. Remarkable progress has been made to achieve this objective. This includes developing gas infrastructure, promoting domestic utilization of LPG and CNG, commencing the process of commercializing gas flares, development of industrial and transport gas markets, and increasing gas to power.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, further explains how gas can be utilized to boost the country's economic development.
Nigeria, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, has committed huge resources to ensure that domestic gas infrastructure reach every corner of our country, to deepen natural gas utilization, support investment in power and gas-based industries, grow the economy, and generate employment for millions of our young people.
Although Nigeria's economy is largely dependent on oil, experts say gas utilization is essential to transition into green energy revolution.
The economic recovery and growth plan of this administration revolves around the utilization of natural gas. The 4 priority areas enunciated in the ERGP are energy sufficiency, transportation, agriculture, manufacturing and industrialization.
With all that has been said at this conference, it seems Nigeria is now ready to take the opportunity created by the rising global demand for cleaner energy to drive industrialization and economic growth.
Let's get more on this story from the Director of Sales and Strategy at Power Gas Nigeria, Sumit Singh. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me, Joke. Thank you very much.
How feasible is the federal government's plan to utilize Nigeria's gas resources to uplift the economy and drive industrialization within 10 years?
So first, let's establish the facts, right? We have been saying that Nigeria has always been an oil economy, but in all fairness, Nigeria has more gas reserves than the oil. So Nigeria should have always been a gas economy. There have been a lot of steps being taken by the industry, by the government in the last, not only 10 years, last 20 years, 30 years. And slowly and steadily, the gas investments and the effect of gas has been there in the manufacturing sector. Because it has been happening in the past, it's nothing new. And because this model has been done in other parts of the world, nothing stops us adopting this decade as the decade of gas.
And so what are some of the challenges that the government may face in achieving this goal, and how can the challenges be tackled?
So, just like anywhere else in the world, the thing about the government is it's always been about the consistency of policies. To give you an example, VAT, natural gas is the only petroleum product in Nigeria which has VAT attached to it. And what it does, it just makes the commodity more expensive. Similarly, there is the regulatory aspect of the gas pricing. As we are speaking today, the government decides what the price of gas should be. And unfortunately, it's been priced in dollars. And every time the Naira devalues, the gas prices keep on going up. Now, if we need to promote a commodity which needs to be adopted widely, first of all, we have to make it cheap. Not by giving subsidies, but just letting the market decide the price. And because the market is so big, there is no doubt that the price is going to come down. Look at the LPG, for example. The moment the market was opened up, yes, the prices have been going haywire, but in all fairness, as the market will grow, the prices will start coming down. And same will be the case with the natural gas. So we need more consistency in policies, and definitely there has to be a little more more initiatives, I would believe, from the government to give that environment so that more investments come into this space.
And Nigeria will host the 4th International Petroleum Summit in Abuja. That's later this year. What can we expect from that summit in terms of achieving energy sufficiency in the country?
This will give the platform for participants from the government, participants from the international investors, participants from the industry within Nigeria to come together and discuss these massive opportunities that exist in this in the natural gas sector. And we do believe a lot of things would come out of it. There have been quite a few initiatives by the government in the past as well. The auto gas policy was launched last year. LPG for cooking has been promoted very widely. And similarly, the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. So we do see that a lot of similar aspects and initiatives might be launched at this summit, and definitely would highlight and showcase Nigeria as a preferred investment destination, specifically to the natural gas sector. And when you look at it, natural gas is not just linked to the gas that comes out of the ground. It has so many downstream effects, and it has so many products and industry that it can be a part of. And a lot of these investments have started, but definitely having a summit like this, whereby more participants can take part, would give a better opportunity for everybody else to discuss all that is to offer in Nigeria in the natural gas space.
Thank you so much for your time today, Sumit Singh, Director of Sales and Strategy at Power Gas Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, granting women equal property rights in Zimbabwe. A court ruling protects wives from ending up empty-handed should the marriage end. Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Most marriages in Zimbabwe are customary rather than legal unions that, if ended by divorce or death, leave the women empty-handed. But a court ruling last year granted women the right to equal property if their marriage is registered. Columbus Mavunga reports.
When 39-year-old Juliet Gwenere's customary marriage of 12 years ended in 2016, she was left with 5 children to care for and no property or support from her ex-husband. She was forced to move in with her mother in Chitungisa town southeast of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. Gwenere wants her 3 daughters not to make the same mistake she made when they get married.
Men will not give you anything. They'll just say you just walk out like the way that you came. You came with nothing, so you're just going to go back with nothing. So at least if you stand on your 2 feet, if you've gone to school, if you're empowered, if you've gone to school, if you've got a job and everything, and I don't think any man can actually say you can go with nothing.
Most marriages in Zimbabwe are customary and registered unions that give no legal protection or inheritance rights to women if the union ends. A Zimbabwe Supreme Court ruling last year granted women the right to equal property if the marriage is registered. The legal rights group Women Lawyers of Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, says they are noticing more women becoming aware of their rights since the change in law.
Most of our clients who visited our offices expressed their confidence in the judicial system, especially with regards to their right to protection by the law, which is a constitutional right. They even expressed that they've got the right to equality now with their male counterparts.
But rights advocates say women, especially in the countryside, need to be educated on the importance of marriage registration.
We have a lot of work cut out for us, or civil society, gender equality advocates need to continue with advocacy. We need to engage with the lawmakers. We need to engage with judges in terms of the promotion of women's rights. We need to engage them in terms of judicial activism, or even interpretation of some of the normative frameworks that are out there that promote women's rights.
While Zimbabwe's wheels of justice turned too slowly for women like Gwenere, there is at least a more hopeful future for equality and legal protections for her daughters. Columbus Mavungam for VOA News, Chitungwiza, Zimbabwe.
The University of Aberdeen says it will return a Benin artifact to Nigeria within weeks, one of the first public institutions to do so more than a century after the sculptures were looted and auctioned to Western museums and collectors. The university says the sculpture of an Oba, or ruler of the Kingdom of Benin, had left Nigeria in an extremely immoral fashion, leading it to reach out to authorities in 2019 to negotiate its return.
Pressure has mounted on Britain to return the Benin bronzes, actually copper alloy relief sculptures, and other artwork looted by colonial powers to their places of origin. Neil Curtis, Aberdeen's head of museums and special collections, says the bronze, purchased in 1957, had been blatantly looted.
We felt was a strong moral argument that it was very straightforward. This was looted, therefore it should not be ours. And I think, we all need to think much more carefully about museums. I also note that when we're returning, repatriation isn't easy. It's something that matters to people if they're wanting things back. It's something that takes a lot of effort and indeed can be, time-consuming and expensive.
Britain's soldiers seized thousands of metal castings and sculptures from the Kingdom of Benin, then separate from British-ruled Nigeria in 1897. The British Museum, which holds hundreds of the sculptures, has alongside several other museums formed a Benin dialogue group to discuss displaying them in Benin City, some officially on loan. Reports say Germany is in talks to send back 440 Benin bronzes, while the University of Cambridge Jesus College says it had finalized approvals in December for plan announced in 2019 to return another bronze. Professor Abba Issa Tijani, Director General of Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monuments, says the importance of displaying the bronze inside Nigeria for the first time in more than 120 years is inexpressible.
This is about our identity, about our history and heritage, which has been taken away from us for many years. And we now have the opportunity, and every Nigerian will have the opportunity to see and appreciate our history and culture.
The governor of Edo State, the capital of which is Benin City, plans to build a center to store and study the returned artifacts by the end of 2021 and a permanent museum by 2025.
A boat carrying more than 1,000 survivors of a highly organized, deadly attack by Islamic State-linked insurgents in northern Mozambique arrived in port of Pemba. Survivors who walked out crying were immediately escorted to safety by aid workers. Lucy Field of Reuters reports.
A boat carrying more than 1,000 survivors of a deadly attack by Islamic State-linked insurgents in northern Mozambique arrived in the port of Pemba on Thursday. Many of them distraught, as were the crowds of relatives waiting for their loved ones. Aid workers waited to give survivors food, and police and soldiers kept order. The government says dozens were killed in the highly organised attack on the gas town of Palma, which began last Wednesday. But the exact number of casualties isn't known. Mariamo Tagir was among many who fled and walked for days through the forest.
I'm so tired. It was 7 days in the bush. I'm so tired. We came across evildoers several times. The situation is really bad. There are many dead, many dead.
Tagir left her son behind in Palma.
It's very painful. I've been crying every day. I don't know where my son is. It's very painful.
Survivors have spoken of bodies in the streets, some decapitated. Reuters has been unable to independently verify accounts from Palma, and most communication was cut off after the attack began. But Tagir describes similar horrors.
They said they didn't want us. They wanted the military. The military who were not in their uniforms were saved. Some of them were cutting the throats of people from there.
Aid groups believe the attack displaced tens of thousands of people, many of whom fled into dense forest or attempted to escape by sea. Hundreds, including many foreign workers, have been evacuated by air. The fighting continued as recently as Tuesday, security sources said. Islamist insurgents have been increasingly active in the surrounding province of Cabo Delgado since 2017, although it is unclear what specifically they are fighting for. The district around Palma is home to natural gas projects worth $60 billion. A diplomatic source said there were roughly 1,200 displaced people on board the boat, including 300 children and 400 women. An official at the International Committee of the Red Cross said the government was screening those arriving at Pemba to prevent infiltration by armed groups.
In Burkina Faso, one man's lifelong dedication to planting trees and improving agriculture in the unforgiving arid lands of the Sahel has helped hold back the desert and hold on to life. Yakuba Sawadogo has devoted his life to halting the tide of desertification, and for his effort, he has been honored by the United Nations as a champion of the earth.
Farmer Yakubu Sawadogo is known as the man who stopped the desert. It's also said that he brought life back to the arid lands of Wahiguya in northern Burkina Faso. His accomplishments earned him the Champions of the Earth 2020 award from the United Nations Environment Programme, who say Sawadogo's vision, innovation and determination succeeded in reversing the desertification process that was decimating his agricultural community.
This tree that I have just planted will produce a lot of umbrage. It will also bear fruit, which will benefit people and animals. It is a really good tree.
In the 1980s, people in the semi-rural city of Wahiguya, a city of more than 70,000 people, started feeling the effects of climate change, rising temperatures, and a drop in rainfall.
The forest you see here today, it was a real desert before. There was no umbrage or shadow from a single tree here.
Subsistence farmers in the Sahel region depend on rain-fed agriculture, and as the rains lessened and became more erratic, crops started to fail and animals and trees died. Rather than flee the region like other farmers, Sawadogo decided to see if it could improve on the local Zai technique of planting, widely used by thousands of farmers in the region. Traditionally, farmers start working the land during the rainy season when they plant a seed in a hole dug in the degraded earth. Sawadogo believed it would work better if the land was prepared well before the wet season, so he dug wider and deeper holes and filled them with natural organic compost. He also surrounded the planting area with rocks so that when the rain starts, the water is directed towards the seeds and none of the moisture is lost. And so once the rains arrived, Sawadogo was ready to plant the seed in naturally fertilized, well-drained holes. Sawadogo applied the same technique to plant trees, which he said are crucial to reducing the effects of climate change and which he sees as the source of most life. Today, the 70-year-old walks around in his 40-hectare forest containing more than 60 species of bushes and trees, as well as medical herbs that he dispenses to the local community.
Kenyan Wool Buying Cooperative is using its economic power to encourage shepherds to keep their flocks in enclosed areas to help save an endangered bird. Wildlife experts say the efforts to save the Shep's long-clawed bird, which lives in Kenya's central grasslands, are welcome and could be applied to other endangered wildlife. Brenda Molinya reports from Nyandarua, Kenya.
These vast grasslands are home to the endangered Sharp's longclaw bird, located about 100 kilometers southwest of Nairobi. The bird was discovered in Kenya in 1904, but since then, its population has been decimated, down 99% to as few as 15,000. The Kinangop area, one of the native habitats, has been hit especially hard.
We estimate the population to be around 1,000.
Conservationists blame the decline on increased human settlement in what were previously tracts of tussocky grasslands. But a youth group in Kinangop is determined to change the bird's fortunes. The Friends of Kinangop is encouraging farmers to raise sheep in selected grasslands. They say the move will help preserve the bird's habitat, and in turn they will ensure farmers get better yields from their livestock. The group works with a cooperative that gives incentives that include giving farmers better prices for their wool than commercial brokers do.
The brokers buy the wool at lower price than us. So the farmers we collaborate with, those we partner with, we buy the wool at higher price.
The group then processes the wool into yarn and into creative garments and artifacts that are sold both locally and abroad, providing more money for farmers. The group also enables the shepherds to improve their flocks and get better yields.
By the end of the day, they will have better breeds of sheep and better wool quality and more meat for income, for better income, so that they feel motivated to graze instead of cultivating their grassland.
The approach seems to be working. James Ndegwa, a manager at this farm, says the conservation efforts are bringing good returns for him.
Now we have good quality wool. Even the customers who used to buy sheep for meat say the improved breed is better and has more meat. And I know the secret is the improved rams from the conservation group.
Experts laud this approach to conserving the endangered bird, and they say that with proper support, it could be duplicated to save other endangered species in the region. Brenda Molinya for VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word from Lagos.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. ChannelsTV.com, remember, is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joker Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.